The right to offend is not some pesky little part of freedom of speech that we have to put up with. It is the heart and soul and lungs of freedom of speech. It is the coursing lifeblood of human progress. It is the instigator of liberty and modernity and science and understanding. What a laughing stock today's student leaders are, that they can so casually dismiss the right to be offensive without realizing that their lovely, enlightened lives are the gift of individuals who gave offense. Offensiveness is not just something we have to begrudgingly accept. Offensiveness is the motor of human progress.
Now broadcasting from the Right to Offend Media Studios in sunny South Florida, bringing you the latest in politics, current events, art, and pop culture. This is the Whitfield Report Live with Sam Whitfield.
But giving offense is good. In fact, it's essential.
And good day to you folks. Welcome to the Whitfield Report Monday edition. I know we're posting a little bit later in the evening than we usually do, but appreciate everyone coming out and watching the podcast. Hope all is well, and happy holidays. It is Thanksgiving week, so my guest today is a long time personal friend of mine, going back almost 20 years at this point. I've known this man pretty much as long as I've been doing the show, believe it or not. So almost 20 years, but I've also mentioned him a lot. My good friend Ty Rowe, who is still in Denver, and Ty is one of the most interesting characters I've certainly met in my life, and my life certainly would be more dull if he weren't in my life, and I have a lot of stories I could tell him that maybe I'll put in a memoir down the line at some point. But Ty's he does a bit of everything. He's done mixed martial arts in the past. He's done some coaching for high school wrestling, and now he's competing in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he just won his first tournament. So he's a pretty remarkable man in my view, but I'm also biased because he's one of my oldest friends, much like one of our other favorite guests, Mr. Luke Nicholas.
Nice.
Hi, welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm good. Thank you for having me on, Sam. Really appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. So,
Yeah.
anyway, well, I know I gave kind of a brief introduction, but just, for the folks, what is, just tell us a little bit about yourself. Anything I didn't cover, and, anything like that.
No, I think you covered it great, but I'll reiterate on some of what you said. Yeah, so I'm Ty, one of Sam's good friends. I consider Sam a brother. Yeah, you weren't lying, man. I did mixed martial arts for a while. Started in kickboxing back in 2019. Did that for a while. Kind of got tired of getting hit and kicked in the head a lot, and then I decided to go the jiu-jitsu route one day. So, and I definitely don't regret it. I got into mixed martial arts through jiu-jitsu. I love jiu-jitsu. I think it's one of the better, more effective arts. I started out doing no-gi jiu-jitsu about a couple years ago. And then about 6 to 8 months ago, I got into the gi portion of it and got my white belt. So it's definitely been a journey, man. Definitely been a journey. It's not an easy one, especially on the path to become a black belt. So I just really can't wait to see what God has in store and how it all unfolds.
Certainly. And so what motivated you, I guess, to start uh first off in MMA and then jujitsu in general?
Yeah, so I think what got me started was just growing up being bullied a lot. I mean, you remember back in middle school and high school, like people made fun of us a lot and kind of gave me a lot of grief for being a bigger guy. And honestly, like what got me into mixed martial arts was, I just got tired of being punked around. Got tired of being punked around. I got tired of fake friends. I got tired of being a almost 300-pound dude at the time. Like I was tired of things. And a buddy of mine, Isaiah, one day he was talking to me and he's like, Ty, I think you should get into martial arts. I think it'd really help you. I think it'd be best for you. And at that point in my life, things were just going so south. I was like, you know what? I don't see any other reason not to.
Yeah. And I don't want to put words in your mouth or anything, but I was listening to one of Joe Rogan's podcasts the other day, and he was talking with a guest he had. He said that he had a lot of pent up anger as a teenager because his father abandoned him, and so that's
Yeah.
kind of why he um got into uh mixed martial arts initially. And I should have probably told you this over the phone, but it kind of dawned on me the other day that
Hmm.
you had issues, growing up kind of in an unstable household a bit. And so I think uh I've certainly heard from other guests that, combat sports in general is kind of a good way for them to channel their anger, and if they didn't have that, they might end up in jail or something like that. Is that similar to your experience, or how do you feel it kind of um how do you feel like your experience growing up kind of molded you to get into this, I guess, if at all?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah, it kind of like my experience growing up. Yes, you're right. I grew up in a kind of dysfunctional household. Parents weren't the best, but I kind of come over time to forgive them and to love them more for it. But I will say
Sure.
this: mixed martial arts has really channeled that aggression to where I'm taking all my anger out on the pads, my trainers, my coaches. Kind of makes you in a sense like more responsible as far as fighting goes and more disciplined. And by that I mean like, if there's a guy out on the streets and he's just like one time when I was out on the streets and this guy was talking smack to me, was kind of drinking and all that, and I was just like, you know what, dude, you're not worth my time, man. And I told him that, and I wasn't saying it to be cocky or nothing or be arrogant. But so I told him, I said, dude, if we fight, you are getting hurt. And I do not want that for you. So
Yeah.
it really, in a sense, kind of makes it to where you don't want to fight anybody because you know what you're capable of and like what you're going to do to that guy, especially if they're not trained fighters. And,
Yeah,
it's like, oh, go ahead.
I think it's also like, the one thing that you've said too is that, like, when you're fighting, you expend a lot of energy, right? And so you
Yeah.
kind of the way it's been the way it's kind of, been explained to me and kind of in some of the stuff I've done too, you really want to expend kind of your energy on the fights that matter,
Hmm.
and you don't want to expend your energy on things that don't.
Yeah, exactly. Because you gotta keep in mind, out on these streets, man, if you're fighting people and you hurt them bad enough, you can get into a lot of trouble, and that's just something I don't want to have happen. And
Yeah.
out of good conscience morals, I'm just like, I don't really want to go around hurting people like that. I mean, don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, I'll defend myself. I'll fight back if I have to, but it's just something you want to try to avoid as much as possible.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, you've done a little bit of everything, and So, what made you eventually pick like jujitsu?
Like I said, I think I got tired of kickboxing. Not that anything's wrong with kickboxing. Great art, by the way. I just think I got tired of getting hit and kicked in the head too many times. And it was kind of taking a toll on me a little bit. And I remember growing up, I always loved wrestling. And you remember, I was a big wrestler in middle school and high school.
Yeah,
I just think like that whole wrestling aspect I did in high school, and then when I tried jujitsu for the first time, I was like, "Whoa, this is fun!" Like rolling on the mats, just getting submissions, like just it brought back that high school wrestling mentality, and that's what I liked about it. So, and then what also got me into it was I remember a couple years back. I know this sounds weird, but I kind of watched like the first UFC on YouTube because I was intrigued by the old UFC and how they had art versus art going against each other. So I watched the first UFC and saw Hoist Gracie submit like boxers, shoot fighters, Vate, all that stuff. And I was kind of like, whoa, like jiu-jitsu is more powerful than people take it for. And like, I was astounded by it. So I thought, you know what, like kickboxing, I've been there, done that. I was like, I'm gonna try jujitsu, and then, did a couple sessions with my old trainer, and then I saw one day they had a submission challenge coming up, and I hit up my trainer. I was like, hey, what do you know about these tournaments? He's like, oh, not a whole lot. Why are you thinking about doing it? I'm like, yeah, I really want to go in and do it. So ultimately, I started training more and more jujitsu, and I've just loved it ever since.
that's awesome. And what is it specifically about um jujitsu? I mean, I know you said you were getting like kicked in the, you were tired of getting kicked in the head, but is there something uh, about the technique of jujitsu that appeals to you more, or what do you think works for you more?
Well,
Um,
one, I just like not getting hit and kicked in the head. Two, jujitsu is all about flexibility and movement, so I've been getting some good stretches in, feeling better about my body. I've
yeah.
lost some weight as you've seen. I just like that jujitsu is a very effective and pure art because in a street fight, like if I'm kickboxing, I'm throwing punches and kicks at a guy, and I could get in trouble for that, right? Whereas in jiu-jitsu, I'm not really throwing punches or kicks, but yet I'm taking the dude to the ground, submitting him to where he taps me out. He's like, all right, dude, I've had enough. And if you look at the old UFCs, like with Hoist Gracie and all that, like he really proved that jiu-jitsu is an art where if you get into something, you use your technique and you get out of it quick and as little damage as possible. And that's why I like the pureness of it.
Yeah, and it also, I mean, I've heard some people describe it as like a physical version of chess where,
Yes.
you're either trying to like strategize how to submit someone, or you're trying to strategize how to get, out of something. So it is kind of also a mental exercise.
Oh yeah,
Um,
jiu-jitsu is definitely the chess of grappling, kind of like, karate has its own chess, kickboxing and Muay Thai, they're like the chess of striking in my opinion. So
yeah.
yeah, there's definitely some factors you got to play even when you're going against other jiu-jitsuists. Like you got to set up those submissions, got to think 10 steps ahead. It really is a chess game like you said.
Yeah. So you competed in your first tournament this past weekend when
No,
we
it was a couple years ago.
oh, for jujitsu?
Yeah, I competed in the
Yeah.
first submission challenge, no gi, and then I competed in my second one for the gi portion, the white belt division.
Okay, okay, and so that was, and so the second, and so you did this most recent tournament this weekend. So
Yes.
what was your experience, going in? What was your mindset, I guess?
I was a little nervous, a little excited, a little bit of both. I really just wanted to get in a better fight and put a better performance up because the first one, I ain't gonna lie, as you know, I got submitted within seconds, you know? But this time I actually went the distance, went to the championship round, lost unfortunately via armbar, but at least I got my silver medal, second place.
Yeah,
You know, I definitely say that's quite an improvement from the last one. So,
yeah. I mean, I definitely think that that's, I mean, obviously it's not first, but the fact that you made it to the, to the champion level, and and got second, that's still better than, you know, than some people do. I would say most even.
yeah.
And so, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like,
Hmm.
you know, you had you had kind of taken a break from jujitsu and then gotten back into it more recently,
Yeah,
right?
you know, I think I was kind of bummed out the first time. And, you know, it's just like with any martial art you do, the first like 6 to 8 months, you're getting your butt whooped, you know? And I
Yeah.
think that was kind of going on me at the time. Like, and even it was that same way with kickboxing, like, and mixed martial arts. Like, I kept getting whooped on those first few months. And I was just like, dang, is this something I really want to keep doing, you know? Because I was letting all those negative thoughts get in my head. Well, finally, one day at the gym, when I was at the MMA gym, I got Shark Tanked, right? And what Shark Tank is where you get picked and you got to go against everybody individually and try to submit as many people as you can. You know what I mean? And I think that was a defining moment because I submitted almost everybody. I got submitted by one guy, and he was a pro MMA fighter. But, you know, I think that was a turning point where I'm like, hey, like, it's all starting to click, you know?
Yeah.
So I was submitting people, like, getting people in my favorite position, Americana from side control. And I was like, you know what? Like, I got to keep going, man. It's all starting to click. And even the higher belts in the gym, they were like, "Oh, dude, you're getting better. Like we've seen quite the improvement from you. It looks like it's starting to click now, you know?" So I prayed about it, thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go back to submission challenge and I'm gonna try to win this thing this time, you know? Because I
Yeah.
didn't let the past tournament define me. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna train hard, I'm gonna put in a better fight. And you know, along the way, the training was tough. And I did do things outside of jiu-jitsu, like I sparred with my buddy, who's a Muay Thai fighter, submitted him via rear naked choke. You know, just really testing the waters and testing my skills. And you know, shout out to my coaches Ricardo Lewis and Dustin Samato. I was very appreciative for Dustin being in my corner, and I really just thought it over and was like, you know what, I'm gonna go back and like try to win this and put on a better show. So I'll let that motivation get to me, you know.
Yeah, I mean, kind of looking at it from, an observer's perspective, as your friend, to me it kind of seemed like you approached this. I mean, I know this isn't I know this wasn't your first time doing jujitsu, but this go around you kind of did approach it as if you were a newcomer. You kind of had that, curiosity, but also that hunger.
Hmm.
You know, and I don't want to say that you didn't have it before, but I think you were. I think you were. I just think that you were kind of in a way more eager maybe this time around, and also maybe a bit more mature.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I definitely grew as a fighter and got smarter and just was like, you know what, I'm just gonna give it my all this time and really try not to get submitted within seconds, and that was the goal, you know.
Yeah. So how many rounds did you compete in at this tournament? Like,
Well,
kind of
so there's
explain the
not really,
process.
yeah, so there's not really any rounds. It was a submission only tournament. I did get a few fights in, submit a few people. I won one by disqualification because the guy didn't show up. So yeah, I got some rolls in. The championship round we did twice though. The guy got me first in a little kind of chokehold on the ground. So then they gave us an option. Well, want to try to win best two out of three. And the old me probably would have been like, nah, I got whooped on. But I was like, nah, we're gonna run it back again. I'm gonna try to win. And the second one went a little longer than the first. I was putting up a good fight, trying to arm bar the guy when he had his elbow up against my face. But ultimately, he got me in an armbar, and that's when I was coming up, and I was trying to break out of it like I usually do. But he pulled on my sleeve, and he got me so good. I was like, I just had to tap.
Yeah. Well, I certainly think that, you live, you learn, and
Yeah.
hey, who knows? You might, uh, have an opportunity to, have a rematch with that guy at some point. So who knows?
Yeah, no, he was a great fighter, very competitive. After both matches, he's like, dude, you're a tough cookie to crack, man. He's like, even the first time we went, he was choking me. He's like, dude, I was giving it my all and you weren't tapping right away. I was kind of wondering if I was doing something wrong, he was saying. And then he just kept complimenting me like how tough and strong of a fighter I was. So, and even my
Yeah,
coach was trying to tell me that, and I didn't believe it until this tournament. He's like, "Dude, you're like a grizzly, man. You're a tough, big, strong guy. You got to see it within yourself."
I like that description of you. Yeah,
Yeah,
you definitely do have that kind of grizzly, you know, attitude in a
and
good way.
strength. Yeah.
Um, what is the jujitsu community been like in your experience?
It's got some good eggs, some bad eggs, but it's been mostly positive in my opinion. I just think jujitsu is just a great positive thing overall. Like, I think it's a very effective, pure art. Like, I mean, I'd say for the most part, it's been good. It's just like everything else, though. You got some bad eggs in the MMA community, but,
Yeah.
that's everything in life. You got some good ones, some bad ones, but ultimately, I love it, man. I love the community, love the people I roll with, love the sport, like the art. Like, it's just, I love it. So,
Would you say it's like a closely knit community?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely say that.
So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, and then you've also been like coaching high school wrestling too a little bit from what I understand. Well, from what you've told me, I don't know how much you want to share or not share
Yeah, nah.
about
So I
that.
got into coaching high school wrestling. I coached for Overland, which I know you Cherry Creekers are bummed about, but I'm kind of excited because I get to go in there and hopefully beat the coaches at Cherry Creek, and that's kind of what I was telling my kiddos. I'm like, you know what? I didn't really even like them coaches at Creek. Let's go in there and make it a priority to whoop on them. I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean,
everybody from Creek's been giving me grief. They're like, Overland, really, dude?
yeah, I mean, one of my physical therapists had one of her husband was a football coach at Oberlin, so I can't hate on them too much.
Yeah.
Um, besides, like, I'm more of a Ty Rowe fan than I am of any of any high school. I mean, that was a
Yeah.
lifetime ago for me.
Well, yeah, it was like over 10 years ago for us, but yeah, no, I enjoy wrestling. I'm a volunteer assistant coach currently, but it's awesome, man, just to go in there, coach the kids, pump them up, like really kind of motivate them. And some of those high schoolers I've actually practiced my jujitsu with. I went against two high schoolers, very good wrestlers. Got to show them some jujitsu stuff. And even one day in practice, I was kind of showing the kids like how to do a leg sweep. When you got them in the single leg and they're hopping on one leg and they won't go down. I did the curtain sweep, we call it in jiu-jitsu, where I swept him off his feet and he went flying on that mat to the ground, and they were like, "Whoa, coach, can you show us that again?"
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, how do you let's see. I don't know quite how to. Well, I mean, I guess the easiest way to answer this question is: do you feel like wrestling is kind of, I don't want to say a necessary thing, but more positive thing? And I ask this
Yeah.
because there's been a lot of I've been reading a lot of, you know, articles from quote unquote experts, and I say that, you know, with heavy air quotes because what does that even mean anymore? But they say, oh, you know, maybe we should get rid of maybe we should get rid of wrestling because, you know, it's too violent, or kids, you know, could get, you know, hurt or something. And I'm kind of like, that worries me a little bit, only because it seems like there's nothing really there for young men, specifically
Right.
not in high schools anymore. At least from what
Yeah.
I can tell, everything
Yeah.
has to be co-ed, which I don't think is, you know, I think co-ed sports, there can be a lot of good benefits, but I think wrestling and certainly like other sports like that, like guys need time to, you know, bond with other, you know, guys, especially
Right. Right. Have that bro time. Yeah.
well, especially at the age too, to like learn from, you know, older, you know, men. And I mean, I don't know, I mean, I know you and I have talked. It kind of worries me because it seems like there are a lot of like lost young men out there today who, I don't know. I was lucky to have the Boy Scouts, and
Yeah.
you were lucky to have, you know, wrestling, and I think those two things kind of individually gave us an anchor and a moral compass somewhat. But I am kind of
Yeah.
worried if those things go away, that you know, the generation that's coming now is going to be even more, you know, lost. What are kind of your thoughts on that?
No, I agree, and I think it would be foolish to get rid of wrestling. It's like me and one of the assistant coaches were talking about in practice. Like Coach Adrian and I were talking, and he said he's seen people not get criminal records because of wrestling. And when I wrestled back in high school, like even when I was going to Montbello for a semester, um I saw wrestling do a lot of good in people's lives, young men's lives, because I saw
Yeah,
these kids that were running the streets, failing school, and then they came to wrestling practice, all of a sudden became straight A students and went to do college wrestling and get their school paid for and get degrees because of wrestling.
right. Yeah. I mean, I think yeah, I mean, now with like the UFC being so popular and whatnot, I think there's motivation, you know, there too. It's, you know, it's not just, oh, you have to go play ball in college or something. You know, now there's more opportunity, you know, for young men out there.
Yeah,
So
and I totally agree. And like, keep in mind, the UFC started their own BJJ division called UFC BJJ. Won championship, did their own grappling division, and it was kind of nice because, like, I saw online, they had Jared Brooks versus Mikey Musumeci, and Mikey Musumeci actually became the UFC BJJ one champion. So, and Jared Brooks was kind of like me, a wrestler in high school, and that's what the whole fight was between him and Mikey Musumeci, was jiu-jitsu versus wrestling. Ultimately, Mikey Musumeci won. Jiu-jitsu came out on top, which I tell people, I'm like, I just think jiu-jitsu is more advanced because of the submissions and all that, but there's haters out there, but it is what it is. But It's kind of interesting to see like all these grappling divisions, like flow grappling, like professional grappling and wrestling, like not talking WWE, but the actual Greco-Roman. Like, it's kind of
Right.
interesting to see all these grappling divisions coming up. And I think it's great because, like you say, I think it gives these men in high school and college another alternative instead of going for the NFL or the NBA or MLB. They're like, you know what, like you say, yeah, I'm a learn wrestling so I could go to the UFC or even one championship or something. It gives them a good outlet, and a good motivation to want to go for something bigger and better. So
Yeah. I mean, I think that I think the NFL and the NBA, there is that, and I mean, there certainly are talented players, but
yeah.
I definitely think that there seems to be more of a, well, I want to be in the NFL, or I want to be in the NBA
Hmm.
to become famous and see myself on television,
Right.
something like that. Whereas like
Yeah.
every like martial artist that I've known,
Hmm.
yourself included, they do it more for the passion you know of the art itself,
Yeah.
as opposed to just trying to become uber famous or something like that.
Yeah.
So
No, and I definitely agree. And I think like you say, the NFL and the NBA is more about the money. UFC, yeah, they don't get paid as much, but I mean they really do try to go out there and win and put on a show. Like they try to have that champion mindset.
yeah,
And that's the other thing I like about mixed martial arts or individual sports is the end of the day, like on a team, you could blame someone for the loss. Like, oh, the kicker didn't make the field goal. The quarterback threw too many interceptions. You know what I mean? However, in individual sports, it could just be one of those things where it's like, no, I messed up. I didn't compete hard enough. I should, it's just like, it's that self reflection of oneself.
yeah. And that's kind of another thing that I really appreciate about martial arts too, and also like meditation and some of the stuff I've done is the whole aspect of self reflection. And um you know how has that aspect helped you?
It's really helped me out because, like I say, like just even winning second place, it gets me into this motivation. It's like, okay, I got to keep going. I got to keep training harder. I definitely want to get gold next time instead of silver. So it just makes you, it just like really pushes you to want to be a better person and a better fighter than you were yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So going forward, like, what are your, I guess, what are your next steps? Is the best way of you know, asking, like, where do you see yourself in the future? More immediately, and then like, what are your more like long term goals? I guess.
So yeah, some of my goals and where I see myself, definitely see myself still coaching wrestling, maybe coaching and getting into a paid position down the road. Definitely want to keep up with jujitsu, go for the gold medal in these tournaments coming up. And I was talking to my trainer because he's got the connection to like pro grappling leagues, like maybe even get into a pro grappling fight once I really develop, because I love the grappling arts, jujitsu, wrestling. Definitely want to get back. Definitely want to keep promoting those. Um, so yeah, it's kind of where I'm seeing myself, just promoting the art. Going into a pro grappling fight maybe down the road. Teaching jujitsu, hopefully getting my black belt, and I really want to get that gospel and grappling, faith based grappling program going. So I was talking with one of my buddies about doing that this summertime, where maybe we all go to a park and we just let everybody in for free, like all kinds of levels, belts, skill levels, whatever. Just come in and learn grappling and have a free, fun, open mat, you know?
That certainly sounds good, and I certainly think certainly the way, you're sharing your story, I certainly think it opens, people's, eyes as to you know, what the expectation versus reality is with
Yeah.
jujitsu.
Oh,
So
yeah.
so and then I'm sure down the line there will always be like another, tournament you can compete uh, into.
Oh
So
yeah, definitely gonna get in more competitions, and like I say, this isn't the last for me in submission challenge. I'm definitely gonna go back to that. Thinking about going into NAGA, which is the North American Grappling Association. This ain't the last of it. Trust me, bro.
yeah, that's another thing. So are there different like organizations within like, you know, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or
Yeah, different organizations, different tournaments, things like that. So,
like which one would you want to get into? You're kind of like a free agent, so to speak.
like, what do you mean as far as like pro or amateur goes, or?
And well, I suppose let me ask that question too. Like, do you think would you want to do this professionally, or are you happy to do it amateur for?
Yeah, I think definitely down the road I want to get into a pro fight, whether it's grappling or MMA, just some way to promote it. So yeah, definitely want to get into a pro grappling. Like I say, my trainer Dustin, he's got the plug for professional grappling fights, so definitely want to get into some of those.
Yeah, so would there be like a specific group or organization that you would want to, join if you were to go pro?
Either flow grappling or maybe one championship, hopefully down the road. You never know.
Nice. So, um, and then is there any like, specific like figure or, someone in the MMA community who you will look up to? Um,
Yeah, definitely look up to my coaches, Ricardo Lewis, Dustin, um, gym owner Brian Marinek. Like, just huge shout out to those guys. Professor Don, I can't forget him at Denver Modern Jiu Jitsu. Yeah, there's all kinds of people I look up to. So yeah, I just want to go out there, get show out, and put up a fight. Really, that's all I want to do.
yeah, well that's awesome, man. And you're certainly doing it. And I mean, man, I think the other thing is, you're 30, you're 31,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of people think that, in order to do something right, you have to start when you're in your 20s. But, I
Well, I
think,
technically did. I started in my mid 20s, but yeah, I mean, sometimes people think even younger than that, you
yeah,
know?
well, what I mean by that is people think you have to like, make it pro or something by the time you're like, 25 or, you
Yeah.
know, and certainly in something like, football or something, it definitely is better to get in, when you're younger. But I think, like I said, you're 31 and, you know, you're kind of, I don't want to say you're starting out, but you've still got that beginner's hunger. And,
Yeah.
so I think that more than even, I think that is definitely going to take you far. So,
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, and in MMA, there were some guys that kind of started late, too, like some guys from the WWE, like Brock Lesnar, who else? Bobby Lashley started late and they were pretty good. There were also a couple UFC fighters that started late, and got pretty good. So, hopefully that could be my story. Hopefully.
yeah, I certainly think you have the determination.
Thank you. Really appreciate that.
Well, anyway, I really don't have any questions. Is there any more questions? Is there anything I haven't like covered that you would like to share about your experience? Anything I've kind of
No,
overlooked?
no, I think we touched base on it pretty well, and I just want to once again say thank you for having me on the show. Really appreciate you, man, and yeah,
Oh
hopefully
no.
next time I can come on with a pro debut or something, or maybe I won gold. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, the other thing too is if you have wanted to come on, with like, your coaches or some of your, people that, you know, you might be friendly competitors with or something. I mean, I would love to have like a roundtable discussion
Oh
maybe or
yeah, I'll
something.
definitely talk to my coaches about that. Yeah,
So yeah, I think that could be interesting. I've done a couple of usually as you know, we have like authors, on the Monday show, and that's interesting, but it's also interesting when we can kind of get like a roundtable of people. So I think maybe
yeah.
that might be interesting too in the future. But
Yeah, and speaking of authors, definitely am still working on that jujitsu book, man. Definitely want to do motivational, inspirational martial arts books that I sell out there. So definitely looking to get into that.
yeah, well, you have a friend in publishing, and who also knows a few people. One of them actually is I know dabbles a bit in MMA, or at least did. So,
Nice,
but
nice.
anyway, real quick, since it is Thanksgiving week, we're gonna be doing a Thanksgiving panel on Wednesday, but I kind of want to ask you beforehand. It's the holidays, so what are you thankful for, sir?
I'm just thankful, first of all, for God, my relationship with Him, and just really kind of turning my life around from where it was 10 years ago. So,
Awesome.
what about you?
Well, I'm thankful for a ton. I'm thankful, first and foremost for my Lord and Savior, Jesus.
Yes.
I'm thankful for, my mom and, my dad and my stepdad. I'm thankful
Yeah.
for I'm thankful for friends like you who I've had, for a long time, and then friends who I've met with in the past, even year or so, just getting to know through the podcast. And I'm thankful I don't want to get too sentimental here, but I'm also thankful that I've made it to 30, relatively healthy and relatively unscathed,
Oh, yeah.
because uh, you know, not everyone makes it you know, to 30, or, you
No.
know, unfortunately in the case of Charlie Kirk, he was killed at 31. So
Yeah.
you never know when your time is up, man. And
Yeah.
I'm thankful that, I'm still able to do what I do. And, you know, I've kind
Yeah.
of I think I've found my calling with, podcasting and with writing, and it seems
Mhm.
like you found your, calling with mixed martial arts and coaching. So,
Yeah.
um, and I'm thankful for, the USA, of course. So I know we're not perfect, but I will literally die on the hill that we're still the best, civilization in human history. So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and that's probably as political as I'll get for this episode. But anyway, uh well, man, I want to thank you for coming on, and you know, you look first off, you look great. I know I said that when I saw you in person.
Yeah.
Uh but really, I mean, you seem to be in a lot better place than you were even 5 years ago, and I just
Yeah.
think you're doing you're making moves, man, and I'm proud of you. So,
Thank you, man. And I'm thankful for you in my life as well. And I'm proud of you too, man. And really, thank you again for having me on your show, bro.
oh, not a problem. Always happy to have you on. And folks, I am thankful for you, all who, continue to support the show, tune in every week, uh, you know, donate to the show when you can, and also buy the books. Appreciate that. So, uh, I appreciate all of you for tuning in. I'll be back Wednesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern for the live show. But until then, God bless. God save this great nation. God for legacy and order. And if
Yes.
you're traveling out there for the holidays, safe travels to you all. So
Yes.
I'll talk to you all down the road. And so take care, folks.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Sam.
All right.
The right to offend is not some pesky little part of freedom of speech that we have to put up with. It is the heart and soul and lungs of freedom of speech. It is the coursing lifeblood of human progress. It is the instigator of liberty and modernity and science and understanding. What a laughing stock today's student leaders are, that they can so casually dismiss the right to be offensive without realizing that their lovely, enlightened lives are the gift of individuals who gave offense. Offensiveness is not just something we have to begrudgingly accept. Offensiveness is the motor of human progress.
Thank you for watching the Whitfield Report live on the Right to Offend Media Network. Make sure to check out Sam's books on Amazon, Audible, and Kindle. You can follow Sam on X at SamW_NGC and the Right to Offend Media Network at RTO Media. Like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends. And until next time, God bless, God save this great nation. God, freedom, legacy, in that order.